What's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here. I wanted to do a quick review of this guitar here. PRS Custom 2408, PRS SE Custom 2408 I should say. And I'm gonna break it down just based on my own opinion. This is not sponsored by PRS in any way. These are just my thoughts and opinions. It's not sponsored by any music store or company. It's just straight up my thoughts based on my experience with this guitar that I purchased with my own money. So let's get into it. Alright, so quick backstory about just my experience with PRS. It's actually very minimal. I've known about the brand, as long as I've played guitar pretty much, which is like 18 years last month. And I've always been more of like a Fender, Gibson kind of guy, ESP even. Not because I didn't like PRS or like what they had to offer. It just didn't really like appeal to me one way or the other. I was very indifferent about it. And I think one of the big reasons is because for a long time, the SE line, which is like more affordable than their standard stuff, was considered the student edition line, and they're pretty inexpensive compared to like what the top of that, like the top end USA PRS stuff cost. And it just was like, well, I can't afford these $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 guitars, and these other ones didn't really seem worth it to me. I'd rather spend money on like a used Strat or something like that. I had friends that had like the Tremonti model, and I don't remember what those cost, maybe like $4.99 back in the day. They're kind of comparable to like an Epiphone Les Paul, but again, I had played a few here and there. Some friends had, or sometimes in Guitar Center I pick one up here and there. Just didn't really think about it. And then for a while I thought, maybe I should try one, and this came out. I've always loved the green with the natural back finish, and unfinished I should say, just clear coated. And so I thought, you know what, let me dig into this guitar. I like the specs. I thought it seemed like a good opportunity for me to get like a workhorse guitar. I do studio work for myself, for different bands, and for other people's things. Obviously I do YouTube, and I have different bands where I play live, and I just like playing at home for fun. So I thought this would be a good guitar to add to the collection, the arsenal. And I'll tell you what I do like about it, what I don't like about it, and my overall thoughts. And if this helps anybody, great. I know there's a lot of other reviews on this guitar that might help you out as well. I know I'm not the only one. It's a pretty popular guitar. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it because, I'm not a total shredder. I'm just a dude who likes to play guitar and likes gear and likes tones. So maybe my thoughts can help you out. If not, well, there's plenty of other great reviews, so just definitely check those out as well. So before I break down the construction or anything like that, I want to say this guitar is stock except for a few things. However, all the pickups, electronics, and hardware are all stock. The things I changed are mostly just cosmetic that won't affect the sound. I changed the knobs, so I have these clear and black lampshade PRS knobs. They are the PRS ones, not SE. They do fit now. I know people had issues in the past. I did not change the volume pots at all. They fit right on there. These came with like amber speed knobs. I like speed knobs, but I don't like that amber color, especially on this finish. I know some people like it. That's totally fine. It's just taste. I thought the clear looked a lot better, cleaner. And these are a little bit smaller, and they have kind of ridges so you can kind of feel where you're at. Doesn't really affect me one way or the other, but I like how they look. I did put more springs in the back in the trem cavity. So this guitar has PRS's trem, but it's similar to like what a Strat would have. And it came with 3 springs in there, but they're fairly loose. And something I noticed when I first played the guitar out of the box, it was actually set up very well, but it had light strings, and I was, I hammer the bridge with my right hand, and it was just going out of tune because I kept digging in. So, I think I have 3 or 4 Strats that I did this to already. I put 5 springs in the back. I'm not going to take the back off. I mean, if you guys ever have questions about that, you can ask me, but there's 5 springs back here. I tightened it down all the way and got that bridge to where it won't move. I'm not a trem user, so I'm not going to talk about how the trem works on this guitar. I'm sorry, that's just me. I'm sure it's nice for a lot of more subtle stuff, either like Stratty style stuff, vintage stuff, Santana, but I'm just not a trem guy, so that's just what I did to the guitar. Otherwise, DiMarzio strap, nothing else, everything's stock. I've changed the strings a few times, and I've tried different gauges, but we'll get into that when I talk about the tone. Okay, so the draw to this guitar is the 08, which Custom 24 is the model. It's a PRS Custom. It's a double cutaway, 24 fret, which I love, and That's a big help to me and a big reason why I bought this. However, the 08 is for the 8 different pickup combinations. So you have these 2 switches here, and they're just mini toggles. And then obviously you have your 3-way. So your 3-way switch is standard, you know, bridge, middles, both pickups, neck. However, this switch here is for the bridge and it splits the coil. So you have humbucker, single coil. For the neck, humbucker, single coil. And you can do 8 different combinations. So you'll see in the sound samples I did bridge humbucker, middle both hum, that's 2. 3 is neck hum. 4, bridge single coil. 5, bridge single, neck hum. 6, both single coil. 7, bridge humbucker and neck single coil. And then neck single coil. I find that I do like some of the different combinations for different things, especially when it comes to cleans. You can make this thing sound really great clean. You can also do some kind of bluesy stuff with a little bit of overdrive, sounds really good. And you know, that's part of why I got this. I like having options in the studio with my different bands, live, etc. So construction wise, it's pretty interesting. Mahogany body, maple cap, maple flame veneer, maple neck, rosewood fingerboard, 25-inch scale length. That's appealing because it's very interesting. Most companies don't do that. That's a PRS thing. You know, I have so many Fender style guitars for their 25.5. I have Gibson style stuff for their 24 3/4. This falls right in the middle. I really like how it feels, but I made a mistake of putting way too thick of strings on there, thinking I'd have to compensate for it being shorter than like my Strats or Jazzmasters, and it sounded too muddy. So I went back to what I normally do, which is a 10 to 52. So the Ernie Ball skinny top, heavy bottoms feel and sound great on here. That's exactly what I wanted to keep it at now because I'm playing this just in standard tuning, so worked for me. You can see here, mahogany, maple. You can see the maple cap on there, hopefully. And then in the scoop here, in the cutout to get to the upper frets, which is actually really great, really easy, you can actually see how deep that maple goes there, hopefully. And then the flame veneer. I don't need a huge flame top. I'm not really a big fan of flame tops. The only reason I think it works great on this guitar is because of the simplicity of the unfinished, just clear coated, you know, mahogany and maple. There's no body binding or neck binding on this model. And the only thing on this goes along with the knobs that I like zebra pickups a lot. I actually have them on like 3 or 4 other guitars. I think that this would have benefited from black or like just nickel or chrome covers. Like, I know the nickel would cost more, so that they probably want to keep the cost down, so no uncovered pickup. So black would have, I think, suited this better. Maybe even black pickup rings and a black switch. I only say that just because I think that this is so busy with the top that I just would like it like a little bit less going on with everything else. That's just me. You got the bird inlays, then maple headstock, custom truss rod cover. And there is a small blemish, but you probably can't see it on the camera, so it's not that important. But there's a small blemish where the wood is kind of lighter and it looks kind of weird. The rest of the fretboard looks great. The frets are very nice and even and leveled and not sharp at all. Feels great to play up and down the neck. The nut works fine. It's just some kind of plastic nut, I think. All of the specs and the information here, but it works fine, stays in tune great. I know that those springs for me in the back help me because of my hand just, you know, resting on that bridge. So as far as the guitar building goes, hardware is all nice and fine. The bridge is comfortable. I don't know if you could see there on the camera, maybe a little bit, but the saddles are more of like a brushed material, but they're very smooth, very comfortable to play, not sharp at all, and you know, works great. The guitar is fairly loud acoustic too. Sounds good. Maybe not as loud as like my semi-hollow, obviously not as loud as an acoustic, but it's got a nice acoustic quality, at least the one that I have does. And then before we get into talking about the pickups and the tones, I will say this. This guitar retails for like $979 or something. It was over $1,000 with tax when I bought it. USD. But it comes with these standard PRS tuners. Now, I find that some guitars, Like this Strat here, the red one I use on my channel a lot, they have these vintage, they're Cluson style tuners. Those hold tuned really well. They're not the quickest for string changes, but they work fine. These hold okay, but for $1,000 these days, I don't know why they're not putting locking tuners. EC1000s, ESP LTD guitars have been putting locking tuners and their other 1000 series for years, and this goes back to when they were like $800 or less. I know like Ernie Ball, like Sterling has $500, like way sub $1,000 guitars that have locking tuners. And PRS makes these in-house. They have SE locking tuners. They're like $100 on Sweetwater. I do plan on putting them on here. Now, it's not the end of the world. Like I can use these, but I am someone again who plays a lot live in the studio and things like that. And quick string changes are important to me. So I'm you know, also, this didn't come with a case. It came with a bag, which I'll show. It is a nice gig bag. It's like this brown PRS SE. You know, whatever. It's padded. It's fine. It's good quality. But like, I hate not having cases for guitars that I'm gonna take places. So I've already bought a case for this. But you know, you can never have enough cases or gig bags. So I threw something else in there that stays at home mostly. I mean, it's nice to have. At least it came with a gig bag. Some guitars don't. But, you know, for the $1,000-ish price point, when they make the tuners in-house, locking tuners would have been nice. You know, overseas model, I know it's not going to come with a case, but especially because their cases are expensive, but I would have liked it. But I've already taken care of that. So, anyways, yeah, so let's talk about the tone, the electronics, all that. So these pickups are an SE version of the pickups that come in some of the high-end PRS models. Now, I can't remember the name, but they're like the 5881 or something like that. And I know the real ones that are handmade in the actual USA PRS guitars, they're like probably $500 for the set. It's something ridiculous because they're hand done and all that. I'm not buying those for this. It's not that important. But I do think that these pickups have kind of a like something that I like about them and something that I don't. I will say that they clean up very nicely. The way that they split, they don't really sound like true single coils. Most guitars that split don't. I have a set of Gibson pickups and a guitar that split, and they actually sound a little bit more single coily than these. They're very, very clean, but they don't have that kind of twangy like pop that like my actual Strat pickups do. I don't think most guitars that split do though. I didn't really expect that. But with like the combinations, you know, if you go like single neck bridge, you know, humbucker, middle position, things like that, like you can get some nice clean sounds. And when you're adding like a lot of like modulation and stuff, it can help it breathe a little bit. It's not as muddy or thick. There are nice options there. When it comes to the heavier tones though, it doesn't really have the bottom end that I want. It's almost too like muddy, a little boomy. I need a tighter bottom end, and it doesn't have to be something super specific. I mean, like I have bare knuckle pickups and they sound really clean in that respect, but like you can take just a stock like a Duncan JB, even a DiMarzio Super Distortion, which isn't the cleanest pickups, and you can still make it cut a little bit more and the bottom end's not as flubby. But when you're using like Mesa style tones and just playing like Foo Fighters or like, you know, pop punk type stuff, it just has this like muddy bottom end. Now the string gauge had something to do with that, I found out later, but not that much. Like I think it sounds a little bit cleaner, but I really have to compensate with what I'm dialing in. So for the demo that I did, I used the ML Soundlabs. It's like the G'N R model, which is a Silver Jubilee Marshall, which obviously is going to have more mid-range and definitely some more high-end cut there. So it didn't sound as boomy and muddy, and I was just playing power chords. I wasn't like muting them and doing like, you know, heavy stuff. That's the one thing I find that I don't love about these pickups. Now, I know most people buying this guitar probably aren't buying it to play like, you know, super down-tuned metal on, and I have guitars for that. Like it's not the end of the world, but I would have liked just a little bit more cut, because even though I'm using this just in standard, like for some of the stuff that I do, I need that, you know, just cut through the mix, not be flubby on the low end. It is what it is. So that was one thing that disappointed me, because I've heard such great things about these pickups and I've read great things about them, but it's not the end of the world. I might replace just the bridge, but At the same time, if I replace the bridge, I'm going to want to take the zebra look away, so I'm going to probably replace both so they match, and that might end up turning these pickup rings to black and the switch to black. Maybe not, maybe I'll keep it cream, I don't know. But that's pretty much all I want to replace is the pickups and the tuners, not the electronics. I want to keep it the same way, so I'm going to look into some pickups that split nicely. Other than that, you know, it's a really nice guitar, and I think what you're paying for is the craftsmanship, because for an overseas guitar, I mean, the fretboard is very, very nice. I didn't have any fret buzz, no dead spots. The frets themselves are very, very like smooth and easy. You can find them. They're not like missing. They're not dead. They're not worn down, but they're, you know, comfortable to play. The finish is great. There's no problems with that. And the weight is, it's like a medium weight. It's not too heavy, not too light. Yeah, I mean, I really like it. I don't love 3x3 headstocks. That's just a personal thing though. This looks really nice. It's just, I like the Fender style, so I can go straight across. Other than that, you know, I wouldn't have minded it being a hardtail bridge, but again, that's just personal preference. So those are just my 2 cents. Hopefully the demos and some of the explanations helped if you're looking into buying this guitar. I think if you can get it used and get it for like, you know, 7 or under, especially at 600, like that would be a steal. That's just my opinion. I don't really know what they're going for used. They're fairly new as it is. I think the price point is fair, but if you're gonna want more out of the pickups, I think that you might want to try to buy it used and save that extra money for pickups or case. The only knock I'll have, because again, the pickups are personal preference, is they should have locking tuners on this. PRS makes them for SEs. There's no excuse, and they could just charge like an extra, you know, they don't cost $100 for them to make. 40 or 50 bucks, you know, locking tuners. But that's, again, that's just me being picky. So hopefully this helped you out, and if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. Peace.